If it means saving the life of the woman he loves from a dangerous alternate dimension, will Peter Parker be willing to make a deal with his most hated foe, Norman Osborn? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 24 and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the last issue left off, we're still a year in the past. Peter had lost Mary Jane in some sort of weird, cracked, mirrored version of New York ruled by Mayan blood gods. Peter tried to get his friends in the superhero community to help, but because he's a goddamn idiot, he just couldn't stop and explain himself, and because of that, he came off like a dangerous, crazy person, and in this issue, nothing gets better. We see Ben Grimm the Thing wake up at the Baxter building in the middle of the night for a snack. He also ends up coming face to face with Reed and Sue, who are back from their last space mission. That means that the entire Fantastic Four can be around to see Peter breaking into their lab in the dead of night to steal some potentially dangerous science MacGuffin. This only going further to confirm Johnny and Ben's fear of Spider-Man's behavior in the last issue, now that he is literally robbing his friends in the dead of night while still not taking any time to actively explain himself. Oh, he has plenty of time to web Reed in the eyes and make him look stupid while also cracking some jokes. But for some absolutely brain-dead reason, Spider-Man cannot bring himself to properly explain to some of his oldest friends and allies why he needs this science MacGuffin and how important it is to save a life. A life that is so dearly important to Spider-Man and something that I'm sure the entire Fantastic Four would understand. But oh no, if Peter did that, then we couldn't have a story. A dumb, tedious, monotonous story. And I'm sure you must be thinking to yourself, well geez Joel, cut Peter some slack, surely time is of the essence. We've seen that time in that other dimension moves differently. Yeah, about that, as we discover Peter has actually been working with Norman for a couple days now, and he didn't just steal from the Fantastic Four, he also stole from Iron Man and Moon Girl, too. Yes, you heard me right, everyone. Moon Girl Peter Parker now steals from actual literal children. You know what? Now I actually get why everyone hates him a year in the future. Also, this story wants to treat Peter working with Norman as this great compromising of his own personal morals, but it just doesn't work because we've been reading about Norman actively trying to find redemption and be a good guy. Hell, there's a whole side series, The Gold Goblin, wherein Peter actively works side by side with Norman to fight crime and damn near forgives him. So any of the drama or intrigue this team up is supposed to have right here and now doesn't matter at all because we know Norman doesn't try and screw Spider-Man over and he is actually telling the truth for once. Okay, but what is the plan? What is so damn important that Spider-Man needed to steal all these parts from other superheroes? Well, as the former Green Goblin explains, when Peter returned home, he accidentally ended up closing the dimensional doorway behind him, meaning the only way for Peter to get back to MJ is if Norman helps Spider-Man build a suit capable of punching another hole in the universe. If that sounds like a lot of needlessly complex science mumbo-jumbo to try and hand-wave away why Spider-Man can't get to this alternate universe in any of the other 100 pre-established ways in the Marvel comic universe, the answer is yeah, it absolutely is. But hey, don't worry, this series isn't done answering all those burning questions you've had about the missing 6 months. You see, Norman's lab is actually in New Jersey, meaning that when Kamala Khan Miss Marvel, this area's hero, catches wind that Norman Osborn is doing science in her own backyard, naturally she jumps to the conclusion that he must be up to evil. Which, hey, you know what? Credit where credit is due. Kamala is actually maybe the one person in this story who is actually being written in character and not being written to be a total dumbass. This, of course, answers the question why exactly Miss Marvel went undercover as an intern in Norman's brand new startup company. But of course, if you're like me, no one actually wondered why that was. And more than likely, this story beat is only here to try and help artificially prolong a story that was already feeling very, very thin. To make a longer story blissfully short, the brand new Norman spider suit ends up working and Peter finds himself being flung back into the universe that he left behind. Of course, as we already knew, time moves differently in this place, and it seems that Dr. Rabin has greatly increased in power since Spider-Man saw him last. Rabin says that the ritual he tried to complete when this story first began ended up backfiring on him. Now he has the brain of a Mayan blood god, but not the body to match, and the only way to make these two sides match is to continue his trail of sacrifice, starting with Mary Jane. In fact, by the time Spider-Man makes the scene, it seems that the mysterious Paul already took a knife hit on Mary Jane's behalf and is bleeding out. Rabin ends up spouting a bit more of his zealotous mumbo mumbo-jumbo, it doesn't really go anywhere. But his words are just vague enough that I get the feeling that something he said is going to come back in the final issue and be important. But all you need to know is he ends up getting defeated. Spider-Man wears him down a little bit, but it's actually Paul who ends up delivering the killing blow by stabbing him in the back, and I guess it's okay for Paul to kill people. I mean, you're already not supposed to like him at worst and definitely not trust him at best. So sure, why not? Give him the killing blow on Rap, and obviously Peter is overjoyed to finally be reunited with Mary Jane. He goes in for a reunion kiss only to be rebuffed. And that is of course because in the most predictable twist ever, in all of the years that Spider-Man was gone, Mary Jane has built a new family with Paul. Again, they don't explicitly say if those kids are theirs or just adopted. It's like that one episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. they did where Gemma was on a planet for multiple years and ended up falling in love with another guy, while Fitz, the guy who always carried a torch for her, actively tried to move heaven and earth to get her back, only where that story was really excellent science fiction. This story sucks. And so that was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 24, everybody, and all the problems that preceded it are pretty apparent here in this issue as well. In fact, I dare say this issue is actually worse because it's a lot thinner than the issue that preceded it, and it even repeats a lot of the beats. Stop me if you've heard this one before, but Spider-Man is a stupid man-child who can't stop and explain himself to his friends and allies, the sort of people who should be the most sympathetic to his plight. Spider-Man's friends are also overly aggressive because we need to artificially create drama in a story where there just isn't that much to speak of, despite them desperately trying to raise the stakes at every turn. The Peter being forced to team up with a Norman Osborn who's desperately trying to redeem himself in his old foe's eyes may actually have worked if this is where the Zeb Wells run began, but none of it carries any actual weight or tension because we already know from reading the other stories that Norman actually did try and get on the right path. This all of course leads to the big crescendo, the reveal of Mary Jane's new family. A thing that, you know what, I'm going to actually not get angry about because that's the sole purpose they wrote it in the first place, because they knew it would get fans talking and frothing at the mouth. And every time I see fans get really indignant either in the comments section of my videos or on social media, you know you're doing Marvel's marketing work for them, right? A wise comic scribe once said, angry fans still read the books, bored fans stop. And honestly, the longer I read this story, the more I think that was the marching orders going into this one. Purposely make a story that will actively prod at every Spider-Man fan's sensibility so they'll have no choice but to talk about it ad nauseum. And you know what, honestly, the more I talk about it in this video, the more I actually feel like I'm playing into this as well. Overall, I'd give this one another 4 out of 10, just a deeply unenjoyable issue from start to finish.
Hey there everyone, Kate Joel again, and I just want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. It means a lot to me. And hey, if you enjoyed the book I covered in this issue and want some comics of your own, might I recommend Book Depository? It's my #1 place for shopping for comic book trades. You get a great price, and if you use my link down in the description, you'll actually be helping me out at the same time. You get something, I get something, everybody wins, right? So until next time everyone, I've been Joel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.